Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. This is a reading about the feelings and the experiences that we go through surrounding hope and disappointment. Many times disappointment feels like the end, but the reality is that it's the end of one experience. And if one experience has ended, it is an indication that there is something else, somewhere else, that we are to begin, right? And so trying to have hope in the darkest of nights. When we're talking about something being dark, when the lights are on, we can see, we have understanding, we have awareness, and we can make sense. Disappointment, imagine there's no light. You can't see anything. Now, I want you to imagine there's a hallway, right? Now, the entire hallway is essentially the journey that we have to walk down called life. Well, to your left and to your right are doors. Experiences, people, jobs, careers, milestones, those are all doors. There are some doors that you must open and you must walk through. And the outcome of going in that specific door is sometimes only supposed to give you a divine tool. A divine tool is a tool that you can take with you and keep with you, and you can use it at any time in any situation. I want you to think of it as currency. I've mentioned it in this way before. When you travel to different countries, there are different currencies. They have different ways of using money, naming money, and spending money. But energy is really the currency of the Most High. And so when you're walking down the hallway of life and you're going in and out of experience, in and out of door after door, there's an energy that you will need to have with you in order to open a new door and close an old door, and in order to keep walking down that hallway, right? And so the divine currency that we are asked to use as disciples is hope, right? And so recognizing that just because you walked through a door, turned around and came out, and the outcome that you thought you were going in for is not the outcome that you left with, it doesn't mean that life is over. There's still a hallway and there are still many more doors. But specifically, when you walk into a space or an experience, and when you come out feeling disappointed, you were really only supposed to go in there to pick up hope, to pick up trust, right? And so disappointment is never the end. Life for us as humans, it is inevitably messy. There are so many twists and turns, right? But the messiness, the twist and the turn doesn't make you any less desirable. And so recognizing that just because I close this door, or just because this specific journey has ended, it doesn't mean that my value or my worth has lessened or has been impacted by the outcome of this specific experience on my path, right? And so the struggle to find hope again can be hard, but as a true disciple, that is just one of the lessons and the experiences that you must learn, because without that one, it is hard to keep going sometimes. This is a message about celebration. You went through many doors, you've experienced many disappointments, but somehow along the way you recognized that the thing that you were wanting when you walked in that door is not the thing that the Most High needed you to come out with. You were supposed to come out with a currency. The currency that you come out with when we go through disappointing experiences, we have come out with a frequency, an energy, a resilience, and an adversity that will get us through every single door that we have left until our hallway ends or until our life transitions to the next, right? And so this is a message of encouragement from you, literally telling you to keep up the great work. The doors of disappointments, they didn't stop you. The tools of divine currency that you were supposed to acquire from the troubling endings, you finally began to pick it up, right? And so now you're truly moving towards wealth and prosperity because of the currency that you are carrying, right? If you are carrying trust, if you know a certain thing is going to happen, If you are carrying hope, that means you expect a certain thing to happen. As a disciple of the Most High, hope and trust are going to be the two things that really pave the way for your wealth and prosperity, right? This is a moment of praise and this is a moment of worship. Sometimes our discipleship requires us to fast and pray. Not this message. This is one where we should be in the space of feeling like we can safely lift up and express our approval, our honor, our reverence, and our admiration for the Most High. After so many disappointments, it's like we finally get it. And then we get excited. And so now you recognize that you've reached this space in your discipleship when you start to walk out of rooms and when you start to close doors, but you leave them and there's a smile on your face, right? Because it's like now you have arrived to the space in your own understanding that you are carrying divine energy. You are carrying currency of the Most High. And so when you walk into something and you come out empty-handed, it isn't always what it looks like, right? It isn't always what it looks like. So physically, nothing may be in your hand, and that can be disappointing for some. But if this is truly your path, and if you are a disciple of the Most High, I'm telling you that your spirit is rich, your spirit is wealthy, your spirit is prosperous, and you only need a rich spirit to keep going down that hallway and to keep opening doors. You just need a rich spirit, right? But you got to collect the wealth by opening doors, by agreeing that disappointment is inevitable. We must all experience it. There is a beginning of something, but this beginning that's happening for you, you know without a shadow of a doubt that this is influenced from the highest of spiritual matters, right? You recognize this, which is why there's the energy of praise and worship, right? But it's a little weird because it's almost like we're praising an ending that at one point we may have been grieving or feeling disappointment, but because of how far we have grown, we recognize that endings, mess, twists and turns are just really beautiful, divine moments where we are required to use a different currency than the one we thought we needed. Sometimes we may be tempted, right? When we're talking about temptation, sometimes there's a desire to do something wrong or unwise, right? Now, a temptation for me may be different from you, right? But nonetheless, temptation is going to cause you to do something that's acting in disobedience to God's will, right? Now, disappointment is not the end. There may have been, this is the disappointment that this reading is asking you to consider. The disappointment of feeling unwanted, okay? Listen, there is pain that we will feel from being unwanted, right? As humans, as spirits, we crave connection, okay? You're being asked to be gentle with yourself. Abandonment, right? That is a wound that sticks with you, right? And it is a wound that many of us carry. And because we carry the wound of abandonment, whenever we even think that we are going to be rejected, right? Whenever we even feel like we're getting close to feeling, what that felt like, we have a tendency to slip into mourning, right? So what I'm saying right now is you are in an energy of what may look like a disappointment. You will be tempted to pick up another energy. So let's say this. You're in that hallway, you go in this door, you thought this door was the one. You come out and you're pissed off because guess what? It ain't the one. Now, before you take a step down that hallway, before you even think about opening another door, an energy will be sent to you to tempt you. Maybe you want to call it the enemy, Satan. But anything that comes to you is allowed to come to you, because whether you know it or not, you have the strength to overcome it. And so before you take a step, before you open the next door, an energy is going to come to you, and it is going to ask you, do you feel abandoned? Do you feel neglected? Do you feel rejected? Are you in pain? Right? Are you ready to mourn again? Right? And so I want you to understand that it was in that moment. This seems like it could have been an emotional situation. Somebody may have crossed your path. I'm getting the energy of like a Prince of Cups, but this is a different type of Prince of Cups. This is somebody who has like a calm surface, but underneath they're very fiery, right? You know how people, so they can be subtle, but secretly like they can be violent. You know how people say you have to watch out for the quiet ones. There may have been somebody in your path who was very calm on the surface, but beneath them, something was, they were kind of crafty, or they were skillful in their ability to deceive. Now, this could have been an actual person, or this had just been an energy, but it is a cup. It's an emotional energy that comes to you, and it almost wants to tempt you to believe that your most recent disappointment is a reflection of the fact that you're still unwanted. Nobody wants to connect with you, right? The abandonment is a reflection of your value, right? You're not good enough. And so every time you close a door, I want you to expect an energy to come right before you take your next step and open that next door. Expect a temptation to come. Expect something unwise to come to you to challenge you, right? Because sometimes we close doors and then we stand in front of them for years because we cannot get over the energy or the wound that door triggered. And so this is why Spirit is celebrating you, because you closed the door, but when you close doors now, you know that they are not the end of you. They were just the end of that door. But it takes us quite a while to recognize that these doors are not indications of us, right? And so when you close a door, sometimes you may be tempted to just rest, tempted to stop, tempted to be like, I'm free, right? But in this space, listen, when doors close, you open them just as quickly. I want you to think of the time between going from one door to the next. You know, sometimes maybe we stay in something for 2 years. We knew it wasn't shit, but we stayed in it. And it'll be another 2 years before we have the energy we need to get out this door, close it, walk down the hall, and open the next, right? Sometimes we take a while. But if you are walking indoors and picking up the proper currency, you're not going to have to stand or stay in rooms that are not representing or reflecting your worth and your value. And so prepare to be tempted to think that you are less than just because you've experienced a disappointment. Sometimes you'll be like, God, I got to take time. I got to recharge. I got to relax. I got to rest. But sometimes you really don't have to stop. You really don't have to rack. You've got the currency, but you just got to remember which pocket you put it in. This is a situation where you just need to hope and trust that the Most High didn't want that experience to continue any further. You don't have to stop. You don't have to change. You don't have to do anything. You just have to know that needs to stay closed. We have the energy of Mars. When Mars comes, Mars rules Aries. Okay. Mars brings the energy of the Tower card. We're talking about change, but it is a change that comes in abruptly. We're talking about upheaval, something aggressive, right? Now, imagine that you walk out of that door, right? And something is a little different about your energy. So imagine that you used to walk out of doors and you used to stand in front of them. You used to bang and cry and wallow. Let me in. Are we sure we can't? Like, you know what I mean? Like life experience. The door didn't have to be a relationship, but the way we would mourn disappointments and endings, it felt like we had lost something or someone that we loved. But now when you walk out of doors, you're slamming them. Do you understand me? You are slamming them because you recognize the towers. You recognize the beauty in the change. And so when you leave a door now, when you leave an experience and when you leave a room, when you slam it, I'm not talking about slamming it with anger or aggression, but it is with a surety. It is with a confidence, right? That when I walk out of this door, nothing that I experience needs to go any further. I'm not letting it come out in the hallway. I'm not allowing it to attach itself to me because I can't take it into the next room that I go through, right? Because it will impact my future. How we view the past has a drastic impact on our future. And so if we're wallowing and mourning and grieving over these doors, then imagine the energy that we're bringing into the next rooms that we open. And so there's a piece of your discipleship where you are going to have so much hope and so much trust that when you close a door, you can close it in peace, right? You can close it in peace because you understand that it served its purpose. It's time to envision a new story. Oh, this ends because something new must begin. I got it. Okay. The thing I'm hoping for must still be coming. The thing I'm trusting for must still be coming. That's the energy that we must have. It's so easy to say that and to demonstrate that, but finding that energy in the midst of the chaos and the upheaval and the mess and the twists and the turns is not easy. And I understand that. But right now, the type of disciple, the type of servant that you are, you have the ability, because of the amount of pain that you have experienced, you have the ability to stand in pain and still find the proper understanding, make the correct judgment. It is only that you can make the correct judgment is because you have experienced the amount of pain. You really won't know pleasure until you can find the benefit in pain, right? Death is an indication of pleasure, right? You cannot have life. You cannot have newness. You cannot have opportunity without death. When you can appreciate both sides of that experience, you become this spiritual judge where no matter what situation you are in, you have the ability to demonstrate your understanding. And the outcome of the situation, every verdict is going to offer you a benefit because of the perspective and the maturity that you demonstrate when the tower comes, when the change comes. Do you hang on to that doorknob? Are you clinging on to the door frame, kicking and screaming because you're not ready to leave that room? You're not ready to leave that experience? Or are you walking out and locking it with the key or slamming it like, all right, cool. I know where my wealth is. Let me move on to the next one. Listen, as a child of the Most High, low key, you're always going to be rescued. You will always be delivered or set free or released or removed from harm's way. That is just a perk of the assignment and of the position that you play here, right? And so it is okay to have hope. It is okay to have trust when we are experiencing disappointment because the deliverance is promised, right? You are held always. You are loved always. You are never alone. And so there are many highs and there are many lows, right? Sometimes we'll feel there's nothing left to hope for. You know, God, all I'm looking at is ashes. Everything is destroyed. There's nothing but devastation. I cannot see the beauty in any of this. Sometimes we get to that space, right? Where we just in that space. Did you hear what I said? But God, right? When you are in that space of total devastation, the idea is that you know who to speak to. You know where to go. Not that your feelings are going to make sense or you're always going to be rational. It's just that you know who your therapist is, right? Some of us as a light worker, a divine being, imagine that you were born with a psychiatrist. You can't see them necessarily, right? But you have an entire therapeutic team that works with you and helps you as you go in and out of these doors, as you experience towers, destruction, disappointment, devastation, abandonment, rejection. You have a clinical team assigned to you, right? But there are two currencies that you must carry with you in order for that team to be active and for you to remember that you can activate them. And that's your hope and your trust, right? There may have been a situation where you experienced, or someone, not you experienced, but you recognized, this is what I'm talking about, your ability to make correct judgment even in pain. There may have been a situation, or many in the past, where you know you are connecting to someone or something that just doesn't want you to prosper, right? This is going to happen again and again, right? But as a spiritual judge, I want you to know that you can be put in any environment, in anywhere, and you and your clinical team always have the ability to meet. You always have the ability to trigger your deliverance, to trigger your rescue, to set yourself free, and to release yourself from harm. Your clinical team is always waiting for you to recognize that literally, listen, healthcare is expensive. Therapy, psychiatrists, psychologists, all of that is expensive. But as a divine being, your currency is hope and trust. And so if you can carry an ample amount of hope and trust, there is no situation you can be in where you cannot afford to pay the Most High, to pay your spiritual guides, your spiritual team, your ancestors. There is no situation where you cannot afford them to show up for you and to have a few counseling sessions. But I'm telling you, without hope and trust, you'll forget that they exist. You won't even continue to take steps down the hallway of your life. You won't want to open any doors, right? And so you have a clinical team, but you got to recognize that you have every opportunity to access the wealth and the prosperity needed to engage in that type of spiritual divinity. But this is what you came here to do. This is what you came here to do. You can be standing in a situation and know immediately, is this going to bring me a positive result? If you recognize that this is going to bring something unstable, or if it is going to make your life complex in any way, it's almost like you just pull out your hope, pull out your trust and say, listen, this isn't the thing I was hoping for. This isn't the thing that I was waiting to happen. Right. And so I'm okay with this ending. I'm okay with being set free and delivered from this because this is looking like it might harm me. Right. And so that judgment that you've acquired, you could only have acquired it after walking through door and door and door that led to disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. You were only there to pick up the currency, to get your money up, your hope money, your trust money. That was it, right? Because the journey and the rest of those doors are going to give you trouble. But you need to know that the money in your pocket can afford you to connect and communicate with your clinical team, your spiritual team, right? Because salvation, deliverance, that is something that you will always be promised, right? But the attitude, the mindset, the spirit, and the heart must be rich with hope and rich with trust so that you can afford that promise, so that you can afford to experience that promise in a way that is joyous. As a spiritual judge, you have many choices, right? Even when you walk into a door that's a dead end, as a spiritual judge, you have many choices. It is because of how you have made peace with pain, how in the midst of pain, you can still make proper judgment and have sound understanding. You recognize that all roads lead to Rome, aka the Most High. Everything is taking me where I'm going. So even when I'm somewhere I don't want to go, I still have choices. There are still roads. There are still options, right? Opportunity didn't disappear. but it takes diligence. It takes diligence. And so again, this is about praising, and this is about worshiping you. The way you have made peace with disappointment, the way you recognize that disappointment is really just the start of something new that I didn't expect, right? You understand that. You are rich with hope and rich with currency. And so your deliverance will be triggered or engaged and activated when temptation makes its way to you, right? Or when unpleasant situations are what you're experiencing again and again, door after door. And so celebrate yourself for the way you have really understood and mastered endings, disappointments, mess, twists and turns, right? The peace that you can make with mess is an indication that you have been promoted or you've advanced in your own discipleship. I love you all so much, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.